Alright, got here this evening Jade 6 transistor radio. This is obviously a transistor radio, not expecting any tubes in here. First challenge is going to be getting it out of the case without damaging either of them. There we go. And then there's no obvious screws on the outside of this, but there is, it looks like, some sort of tab on the bottom. I'm sure that there's a battery in here somewhere, or was at one point. So let's try and spudge this open. There we go. Not too bad. Oh, this is neat. There's a little circuit diagram. I don't know how well this shows up on the camera. There we go. That sort of shows. I don't think it's in focus, but I'll add a picture of this. It shows, see, this looks like the antenna, battery, speaker, and then each of the transistors, a little diode there. I'm not sure what everything is on this. It's almost too small to read. Anyways, that is really neat. Printed in Hong Kong. I don't know if it was also made in Hong Kong or if it's just this label. Maybe we'll find out. This one says the same thing. 9-volt battery with a bunch of different brand names and part numbers. Got Realtone, Mallory, Eveready, Rayovac, RCA. This looks like it will come out. It's not super happy about it. Not going to fight that one too much for the moment. So this takes a 9-volt. Let me dial the power supply. And then, let's see, looks like there's a couple little screws in here that would potentially let me take the board out, but I'm going to try it before that. So, let's just get this plugged in. Alright, I'm going to get this hooked up. Should get a good grip on there. This one's a little bit easier to get connected. Now I have the power supply set to 9 volts and 25 milliamps. Just going to start there, make sure nothing too bad happens. That was turned up, which is not really what you want. Turned down, no particular tuning here. Play with that after I get it turned on. But light up the power supply. It's still turned off, so let's see what happens. Alright, there's some static. Much better reception when I'm touching it than when I'm not. Let me play with the tuning here. So look at that. Working pretty well. Get down. I don't want to stay on this too long.
This is a resource for the month of July, and I have no other set Friday. And so I feel kind of an urgency to let you know that you can get this book for a gift of any size.
Seems to be working pretty well. It's actually not what I really wanted. Been looking for a broken one of these for quite some time. And yet again, this is not that. Right. So I'm still going to take this apart. May be working. May not be after I get done with it. We shall see. So definitely going to take it apart, see what's going on in here. Not super complicated radio. It's only 6 transistors, if I remember from the front. So not a large circuit by modern standards. Not a complicated circuit. Definitely takes up some space. This board looks like it's getting pretty loose. So let's see. Right. The tuning knob is the main thing holding it in place. And then it looks like there's some wires coming down to the speaker. Somewhere in here. Don't want to put too much stress on those. So, the speaker will come out. That will make things a little bit easier. Looks like this piece of label is attached to some foam. And then that foam is maybe glued down over one of the wires. I don't know if this whole mess in here is visible, but I'm going to try and get it out without any damage. Oh, yeah, that wire is really glued in there. There we go. So those are the 2 wires coming down to the speaker. Paper is in good condition. A little bit of dust on the edge. A washer. Almost looks like leather. That would be funny. This looks like the antenna here. Switch back to my pointing stick. Antenna. This is the volume. Potentiometer with a switch. Your usual deal. This is the tuning capacitor. Let's see if I can get this shot. So there's a little capacitor in there. Spins around. Looks like this one goes from 5.4 to 16. And then on the board here, we've got a pair of electrolytics over here, handful resistors. Look like old carbons to me, but might replace those in a higher power device, something like this. I mean, what are the chances of them burning out? I'll test a few, make sure they haven't drifted. And then for the transistors, so you've got one here. Let's say that definitely looks like a transistor, 3 gold legs. I'm not sure if this is what this is under here. It's a bit waxy on top. I'm taught not to trust things with wax, but I don't know about that one. This, I would guess, is another transistor, maybe a couple. Dot on there. Looks like there's a few more over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a 5th one buried down in here. I think this little black blob here might be number 6. Sort of hard to tell what that is connected to. definitely hope this one never becomes an issue, because that will be a nuisance to replace. But yeah, got a handful of ceramic capacitors, and then at least these two electrolytics. So I guess if I wanted to do some recapping, I'd probably replace those. I'm not entirely sure what this is, so let's see if I can figure that out. It's very gummy, not very pleasant. It's hard to tell where the leads come out on this one. It sort of looks like they're under this paper. There's just a whole mess of kind of ancient scholastic, or something far less pleasant. I'm not going to touch that with my fingers intentionally until I forget. Alright. This radio is working, so I don't want to mess with it too much. Let's see if these are capacitors. It's 50 milli, 10 volts, and this is a 10 micro at 6 volts. I'm trying to see the brand on that. It's one of the cons. Sort of hard to tell. Not an easiest spot to read. Both of those would be fairly easy to replace, but I have no reason to believe that they are failed at this moment. I'm not sure if I have those sizes. I guess I'll take a peek in the kit. I don't have the appropriate capacitors. I think I have the smaller one, but definitely not the larger one. So, no reason to replace those, but I am going to get out a meter and give them a quick test. Alright. This is the right polarity for this one. $390 microfarad does not seem right. That's even less right. Did I read this one wrong? Or am I measuring it wrong? Possible there's something else in circuit with it. I'm measuring as well. So I guess, I'm going to trace this out a little bit. This trace disappears under the dial, which is not the most helpful thing. Pops out over here. It goes that far. Okay. There's a little bit of a buzzing coming from the speaker, and the ohms tester will put out a little bit of voltage. So this whole line is connected to the old speaker. Turn that off before it gets too annoying. Yeah, that's just connected right over there. Alright. Make sure I don't lose these tiny little screws. Considering I can only find, that's a different thing. I only find one of them, so we're not off to a great start, screw-wise. The third one's hiding. So those are the opposite sides of the capacitor. That is tied over here. This all appears to be one big blob. It's tied up through here. Got some resistance that is stabilizing. For a second it seemed like it was charging, thought we might have a capacitor, but no, it's resistance, resistance. Okay. So now the question really is, how many other capacitors are in parallel with this one, and are they messing with my readings at all? So looking, just sort of following the path here, I'm going to grab this pointing. So the capacitor comes up through this trace, which twists itself underneath with the knob and comes out here. So we've got quite a few things across that. I believe there's some capacitors tied into this bunch here. Yeah, that lines up. And then the other capacitor on this side is going to be two of these pins. And, those are too high. Maybe down here. Yeah, so that's going to be, I think, right across these. That's still wrong. How do they have that one wired in? Okay, that must be coming from here to here. Otherwise, the two leads would be within this same blob, and that wouldn't make too much sense to have the capacitor shorted like that. So you can almost see in there, and I'm pretty sure it's across these two. So let's see what that says in measurement. Capacitance. There to there. It doesn't like that much. Is that right? Can't tell if this one even has a stripe on it. Let's try that way. Nope, doesn't like that much either. That's interesting. So when I tested this radio, both of these capacitors seemed to be working. Let's see what the resistance across that is. 12K, huh? 12K is an odd value for a capacitor, so I think that's going elsewhere in the circuit. This is 6K, and it measured 6K across quite a few other points. Such as over here. I can get a good measurement. Yeah. Or maybe that's 7.2. Alright, so that's coming through a few more components. At least this resistor here, which is this dog bone. Is that a resistor or is that a little coil? Looks like a resistor from the markings. That is this little guy. This little blue one right here. Looks like there might be another like that over here. And that's another one that, on a higher power device I might replace, but it's just such a pain to get to in here. It's working fine as far as I can tell, so why mess with it too much. So I did find the last screw in the most dangerous place it could possibly be, just on the speaker, naturally. These out of the way for the moment. So I'm not going to do too much more to this board. I'm not really going to take anything apart. It's a pretty straightforward radio. I think I identified all the transistors. These two are little transformers, and looking at the topology here, I'm going to guess this one is the audio transformer, and then this one, I forget what the other one is for, if that is power or if that's part of the IF circuit. But that's why I'm doing this, trying to figure out how these things work. Hopefully, at some point, find a broken one to actually fix. But so far, I've all gotten working ones, which are duds as far as I'm concerned. This shouldn't take too long to get back together. Tuck the speaker wires back underneath, but not glue them back in, because that was really annoying. I'm trying to figure out how everything was fitting in here before. The board was face up, the speaker was over here, and those wires went underneath, so I think it was something along these lines. There we go. Keep those wires out of the way. That needs to fit in there. Seems about right. Doesn't look like I'm going to pinch any wires putting it back together. So let's get these screws back in there. Probably go and get a magnetic screwdriver for this, but I'm gonna do it the hard way. feel like self-tappers biting into nasty old plastic. So I'm not going to tighten that down too much. Just enough to keep it from falling out. Seems good. Alright, that's all in place. Now it's funny, because I actually have over here sort of a, maybe even one of the recommended batteries. It's completely dead, no juice left, pretty crackle on the bottom. Make sure that shows up. Yeah. So that one's not in great shape, but that is actually one of the listed batteries, it looks like. So, kind of neat. Gonna make sure this still works real quick. Make sure I didn't wreck anything with that quick exploration. Again, 9 volts.
Of this compassionate feeling, and David spotted.
That's definitely people talking. They can talk to themselves. That is still intact. Looks like the case goes on this way. There we go. Took a peek in there. No damage done. Sort of an interesting little device. I think this is supposed to come over and clip on the other side, but maybe that's shrunk over the years. Guess I don't really know. Certainly doesn't fit anymore. I don't want to break it, so just leave that be. But, yeah, a little handle there. Walk around and listen to your radio. Not that there's anything good on anymore. It's another working radio. So, took a peek inside. See y'all later. Thanks for hanging out.